Hi, my name is Thomas Ackerman. I'm a world-renowned painter. I'm also somewhat of an activist. I'm upset about the condition of the world. I want to do something through my art that changes things, that makes people exercise their critical thinking skills. I'm also looking for unconditional love. So if any of you are out there, feel my embrace and feel me as I hold you and
Maybe
cradle you.
more like this. Now he's Thomas
See,
Ackerman.
now they know I'm not Thomas Ackerman. Oh.
We've been working and we're winding down the day. You can see it's dark. He's kind of like on the edge of consciousness, which is the best time. And we were talking about a lot of things today. And can I have my hat back?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. No problems.
And
Hi,
we're working on some paintings, and he has been finishing off something I started in. Was there a date on any of those?
I thought it was 05.
06, 05?
I think
Like
so.
10 years ago. I started these 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel happy with these paintings. They're smaller paintings, and here's one of them.
And it's hard to see. It's hard to see though, unfortunately.
Okay, so they're paintings, small paintings of dolls, like baby, kind of like, what would you call that? Like
Well, they're
a
like what
child,
you buy as a kid.
like a doll, like a plastic sort of doll feeling
Yeah.
thing, right? And um, he has finished these paintings off today, and we've been talking about the series, not a series, but we're talking about what I said is the paintings for the end of time, because the child is what is the child is everything that means the future. It's like, right, like if we don't have the child, there's no future. It's if it's like old farts like you and me, without a child there's no future, right?
That's right.
So if there is no child, and these paintings that I made were about the child, but he finished them off because he has actually in his way tried to create the feeling of that there actually is a future by showing us that there is something wrong. There's something wrong, right? Like there's something wrong out there. Things aren't working.
No, I woke up. I had a very bad sleep, and I woke up today thinking about just it's sort of like when you think when you feel something or you acknowledge something on an intellectual level, it's still somehow one step removed from you. But then when you start to feel something on a cellular level, like in other words, Tom can tell me his something that happens to him. I'm not gonna, even if it's an accident, let's say just something as simple as you break your ankle. Well, I'm gonna be empathetic because I love Tom and I care about him and he's my friend. But I didn't break my ankle. So what the fuck? I mean, I'm never gonna feel what he's going through while he's trying to rehabilitate his ankle that's smashed in 3 places. And, I'm never gonna feel what he's going through, his pain. And that's the most simplistic example. When we start getting into things like abuse and hurt and real deep down stuff that we've done to countries, to people, to genocides,
The environment.
the environment, man.
It's everything. It's like our air, our water, our food.
That's right. And you don't think a tree has some kind of memory or
So
something?
we're making the paintings, those children, those babies, those dolls, those reflect this feeling of something.
Because the children matter to me anyway. The children are our future, and that's really obvious, and that makes
That's like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
like
no-brainer. And when I see someone
how
that
can you
has a-
argue that? How
Right,
can you
you
argue
can't.
that?
What
It's
are they
like
inheriting? Fuck.
Exactly. It's like what?
My God, man.
So
They're inheriting
so
a
things
digital
aren't
age
working. Right.
that's being contaminated and destroyed in many different ways, right? So things aren't working.
Things aren't working, and a representation of things not working is if we're not taking care of the children.
Right. The other thing that I never told you, well, maybe I did. The other thing that bothers me, I mean, our most vulnerable are the children and the elderly.
True, the elderly.
And now we've got all these new laws that they're trying to pass where you can euthanize the elderly.
They do. They have
Yeah,
like,
including my sister's trying to probably
you have
pass
like
this
a law that allows that.
Oh, yeah.
If like what a person is has like mental problems in old age. It's
That's
like,
right.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
Get rid of
What's
them.
that?
They
Soylent
put 'em
Green.
up.
It's that thing.
Oh fuck! the
Get
Soylent Green
fucking
thing
rid
there,
of
it's
the
like
old
that.
people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Soylent Green was eating people actually.
And what do
wasn't
you
it?
do when you get older? That's right. But as you get older, you become more childlike, right? And hopefully, and we're talking about family earlier. So, and not our family necessarily, but our outward family.
No, it is our family.
It is our family, but it's
You're
not
my
our DNA.
you're not DNA family
family.
for me, but we're family, right?
I know, and I love that. And that's the
We're
only
like-
thing
We're like
that's going to
family,
potentially save us.
This is what I think. This is very important, right? Like, you know, I took out these doll painting things I did, and I never felt good about them. They weren't finished, so I just gave them to you, right? I said, do what you have to do, make them, bring them to life, like bring them to life, right? So
don't be afraid, just go crazy. Yeah.
I said that. Don't be so
probably
timid.
did.
Yeah, he's very timid actually. I don't know. Look at him.
Mm.
He's like, you can tell, can't you? He's like a very timid person.
But that's so the children are
Yeah.
obviously they're the most obvious example of like what we should. If you can't care about a young child, wow, like
If that doesn't motivate a person to become active, to actually change the things that aren't working, if you don't, you know, what can you do, right? What can you say?
It's
I mean,
just
that's
there's
sort
no
of the
hope.
basic kind of feeling,
That's
right? It's
right.
like that feeling.
There's no hope.
And I know that, you know, I've had quite a bit of like negative reaction to my children's stuff because I said people hate children, and they resent it because I don't mean it like
I know.
a person like personally hates children. No, but the actions to destroy this planet with all the destruction, the nuclear destruction, the chemical destruction, all that. What does that mean? Children can't survive in that.
Right.
You know, old farts like us, we're going to die, but the children
No, but
can't
people
survive.
don't. It's one of these blinders things, right? They can't accept the fact. Wow, you're not caring at all about the future generation or anything.
Even though you love your child,
hate.
you love your child, but somehow you don't make the connection
No.
that there is no future if we don't protect the most vulnerable, and nature and the environment, obviously, and children are the representatives for us human beings of the future. They represent our future. And that's why we need to defend children even beyond the environment. That's how I see it.
But it's crazy when you start getting into the upper echelons and people that actually sexually have abused and taken advantage and done ritual abuse with children. And it's like, why would anyone in their own mind, like, why would you abuse a child? Like, where would you rationally think, or a baby, where would you rationally think that would be okay? So on a more fundamental level, what about the planet and what about what's going on? Are these fucking oligarchs, are they trying to make us reflect what they've done to children? Are they trying to make us uncaring towards children?
They're not people, actually. Those people are not people. The people that refuse to see the significance and the depth of the depravity. So in this exercise of expressing ourselves, I mean, we're talking, and one of the issues that I brought up to Stephen was the fact that no matter how isolated we are, there is a family. There is an extended family that understands this. And you figured, you know, I didn't really know the numbers, but now this was a little disturbing to me because he felt that there, you know, if there's 100,000 people that have this awareness, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I'm not interested in the oligarchs, the abusers. I'm talking about normal people that understand the depth of where we need to go with all of this. And if there is in this entire global family, if there's only like 100,000 people that understand this.
Yeah, but like, maybe that 100,000 is way more powerful. Like, obviously, the bad guys are very nervous and
the bad guys are nervous.
They crank the volume.
The bad guys
up.
are nervous. I agree. The bad guys, yeah, they're nervous.
So maybe 100,000 people worldwide like can actually change shit.
We could, huh? We could.
I think so.
We could.
You got to believe in love. And then Tom was talking about, you know, unconditional love and loving someone.
That's the
It's not-
family. The
sure, and it
family of
sounds all
unconditional love.
hippie and goofy, but there
Did
is
they
some
talk
real
about
strength.
unconditional love, the hippies? No, they didn't.
Maybe
Did they
not,
say? No,
but
I don't.
but the strength in unconditional love is like it's
For a child,
incredibly.
for a child.
That's what
They
you do
deserve
with your
it.
kid.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
Exactly.
It's like you.
I don't want my kid to
They're
be
like
perfect.
there. Isn't that beautiful? That
I want my
feeling,
kid
you know?
to be a bit of a monster once
Here's
in a
this.
while.
Here's this being out of like nothing. All of a sudden, this being, and it's like
Right.
what? It's like it deserves that unconditional love, right?
That's right.
Now you have in your heart this child is inside you and me and everyone, right? And that's getting lost, which is why people are losing that feeling of that unconditional love for each other. This is what we're trying to engender. And this is what I feel. I mean, when you're working on this, when I talk to you, I realize in myself, this by the way, this is not an art talk. You know, when you talk to artists, they're usually jealous and like, you know, competitive and all those things, right? You've come across that in your experience, and I felt that. You know, it's like when I used to be like with, you know, trying to elbow yourself in front. I want to be, you know, all that stuff. That's not what it's about. It's much more basic. We have a much more basic responsibility to each other to recognize the child in each of us. Fuck, how do I know? I don't, you know, sometimes I'm not actually, you know, where does that come from? You know, it's like, I don't know where it came from. I have to say this. The way you have to defend children, I have to say, we got to recognize the child in each of us.
Exactly. Yeah, you said that earlier, though. Something to that effect.
Yeah, it's like that's what binds us together. That's what binds you to us.
Does the child ever
Yeah.
really leave us? That's another, like, you know.
Hasn't left you.
In terms of semantics.
This
no,
guy.
But where does that inner child go?
Yeah.
Or does he just get the hell beat out of him?
Like beat up and whatever,
Yeah.
you know. Don't show your emotion. You know,
Yeah.
you got to punch someone in the nose instead of caring for someone. That child cares. That is our gift. That is something, it's like with our birthright.
I think everything in most people's lives, like when you talk about cities and working in these small cubicles, and you drive in this square box called a car, and then you go back to your home that's in a suburb that's another box. I think we've all been intentionally conditioned to have that child thing knock the hell out of us, man.
Kill it in us.
Because the child's
and not see it in
intuitive.
the other, and see it, and then you don't see it in the other.
The wisdom
person, right?
of children is being wiped out. Kids say the most amazing things. Anyone listening, I'm sure if you've got a child or had a child, or, you know, if you remember having, I mean, when your child was young, it was like the wisdom of children. Like it's sort of like, oh my, wow, that's amazing. Like my kid just said that. Something.
The
really
wisdom is
simple.
like the curiosity.
That's
that
right.
sort of open
They
heart.
haven't had it hammered out of them.
You
from
know,
the school system, from everything else.
You look at a bug, you look at a ladybug, a frog, a flower, and it's like, wow, did you see that? Holy, wow, you know, and shut up, you know, none of that stuff. We need to recognize, actually, even when we're older, no matter what age we are, we still have some of that.
And that's
I think everybody still has that. And we can't give up on that.
But that's
we can't give up on that child.
And that's why I worry about the elderly as well. Because as an elder, you start to resort back to or go back to being that child. You're now like, you can't do so much.
You're more vulnerable. You're more,
yeah,
you
your
need help. You're
memory's
more
going
vulnerable.
a bit.
That's right.
But if, like, how we treat our elderly in our societies is criminal.
It's like
why don't we
the
have
other side of the coin.
It is.
It's the other side of the coin,
It
right?
is.
The
It
vulnerable are abused, are like taken advantage of.
Kids and
it's-
elderly.
And when we went to visit Jack Wynn yesterday, right? And he talked about Star Wars, right?
Oh, good point.
The Star Wars story.
Good point.
Jack Wynn, a buddy of mine, did he? I don't think he's shy, camera shy. But anyway, he went to Star Wars, and at the end, people who want to go to this movie, I'm going to tell you the end now, right? Shall we tell them the end?
So turn off the channel if you don't want to hear the end.
Maybe we shouldn't have even warned them. I think I want to tell the end because
No,
it's so brutal.
it's horrific.
It's horrible.
And that's no
Tell them
coincidence.
the end. Tell them the end.
I lived in LA 20 years. These films and these scripts, they don't just happen and like, oh, well, like it's just a happenstance. No. CIA's got offices in LA. Believe me, this stuff is planned, people. It's planned. So in Star Wars, the new one,
According to
they have
Jack, he's telling us what happened,
right.
right?
So
We didn't
they've
see
got
it. We didn't go.
no, but they've got it. They have a kid. Their son is now growing up, and he becomes,
Harrison Ford and Leia had
yeah,
a kid.
right, and their kid, oh my gosh, becomes Darth Vader, right?
Right, the
His
evil
name's-
one, yeah.
Yeah, and his name's Ben. I remember that.
Okay.
So Ben comes to see his father, and obviously Harrison Ford's older in
Yeah.
life and stuff.
Cool Hand Luke.
And
What was
they're-
his name? What was his name? Han Solo.
Han Solo,
Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah,
No, that's
sorry,
Paul
God, wrong
Newman.
movie.
Come on,
Yeah.
jeez.
Wrong
Anyway,
movie. Okay,
no,
go
but here's
ahead.
the
Yeah, good
horrific
movie.
part, and
Yeah.
this fits in with social programming that's going on, in my estimation. So the son, they have this. They're actually, I guess, communicating like amiably,
Like
or-
normal, like
Yeah.
child, son
then-
to father.
And then the son pulls out his
Darth Vader's son pulls
his
out, yeah.
whatever the thing is, right?
The that sword, that light sword.
That's right, and
Yeah.
kills his father.
Wow. What's that called?
I don't know what that is. What is it?
Patricide.
Is it patricide? That's the name of
Patricide.
it,
Kill the father. Patricide.
right?
Patricide. Now, there is no history that I understand patricide. Oedipus killed the father, but he didn't know it was the father, right?
No.
You know that Oedipus, I think, didn't know it was the father. He wanted to screw the mother, but he didn't know it was the father he was killing, right? He thought it was just a lover or somebody, and he wanted to get rid of the competition. He didn't know it was the father. But in our psyche somewhere, there is this mythology which is what they're doing. They're trying to invoke this deep down sort of Freudian unconscious thing in us, right? To get rid of the father. And the most important person in my life was my father at a certain point in my development. Kill him. What are they saying? What are they saying? Star Wars says kill the father.
I went to I'll tell you this quickly. I went to a pub near where we live in Montreal, and there's these young McGill students, these guys, and we got in a discussion about like, elderly and people being put in homes. And they're saying, well, once they can't work anymore, like what's their value? Like, we got to put them in homes.
Useless eaters.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a second. We're like, what? They're teaching you this at McGill? Like, what about your grandparents? Well, I don't. And they were like, well, they can't do anything. Like, I don't care anymore.
Wow.
Wow. So you like your grandparents is just like, might as well just like what? It'd be almost better or more humane if you just went out and shot them in the back of the head, instead of letting them limp around in this horrible, cold, insensitive, shitty fucking nursing home where they don't have any of the stuff they collected in their life, right? They're just left in
There's
this
like a
sad
bed in
little-
a sad room somewhere.
That's right, and they're
Not
giving
even
all
a
kinds of
picture.
medication,
Yeah.
so they don't think too much.
They're drugged and they don't know what's
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
What a life! If you have parents, grab them, have them come and stay with you until
Right.
they expire.
And Lonnie actually said, Lonnie Clark, who does fission, nuclear fission radio, said that she asked some younger people how long they would like to live. They actually said, if I get to be 40, that's good enough. So what you're saying is that the older people are discarded.
Right.
It's like, I don't want to get old, right? There is like, I don't want to be old, because the way people are being treated when they're in their 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, I don't want to be there, right? That's what the kids are saying. They don't want to get old. So here's my point. So, it's like, we're in the studio, another artist visits, he's doing his work, he's doing the work that I had not completed. Now, this is important to me because from the point of view of making art, this is not something that is egotistical and personal. I mean, I can be pretty. You think? Yeah, I can be pretty egotistical and like fuck off. I'm like the cheese. I'm the cheese. But at a certain point, we got to figure this out together, right? We got to somehow merge our genius, our intelligence, our abilities. Have to merge somehow. We have to draw on that. And my point was today that I think we do have a family. Now we're spread out. We got to figure out a way to bring this family together and use each other's abilities and rely on each other to build this power, what is humanity. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to build on this in some way or other. And it's not like, oh, I have a brilliant painting on the wall. It's not about that. It's being able to draw this part in us somehow. I've always talked about caring, the idea that it's not the mind, it's not, you said waking up, you're done with waking up stuff. You don't want anybody to wake up. You said critical thinking, and I say to care. We need to begin
that's
to
true.
care.
Yeah, you did.
And critical thinking actually helps us to begin to care. It sort of sorts
So
it all
critical
out.
thinking in conjunction with caring.
It has to go
hopefully
together. You have a mind. You're not going to give up your mind. You have a mind. It's like caring doesn't mean you're stupid and you're like floating around like a fucking amoeba grabbing food. You have a mind. We think. But that thought process has to be connected to the heart. It has to hit us somewhere, right? Somehow we have to invigorate
And there's great
that.
elegance and beauty in caring.
Beauty is
It's
caring.
getting knocked out of all of us.
Beauty is. It's like, who was that guy? Keith.
What's porn online?
Porn on? Oh God, yeah.
Sid, come on.
What about Keith's? Like the beauty, love, beauty. What was that Keith's line? Can you help me out here? That poet that said the Ode to a Grecian Urn. Wasn't that the title? Do you remember the Ode to the Grecian Urn where he says, "Love is beauty, beauty, love." You know, it's like it overlaps. It's this whole thing overlaps. So somehow, what is our why are we talking about?
Because you were saying to care, and I was saying critical thinking.
Right. Yes.
And it's
right.
the fusion of those two.
And bringing it together. So we're trying to fuse in some way, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're trying to make each other work.
And
You're
make
teaching
those
me.
two.
You're teaching me. I'm teaching you. It's like working, and maybe other people will do the same in some way, right?
No, I don't know. I guess people
yeah.
get stuff, what they get out of it, right, when they listen to you. Like,
yeah, I mean,
we're
my
just
channel
spewing
is fairly limited in relation to YouTube channels that get hundreds of thousands of views. I mean, I get 100 or 200 views on, but the idea isn't that. And I'm thinking, what is it that I'm trying to establish through my own work? And the YouTube is only a small part, actually. You know that, right?
I do.
It's not like my YouTube channel isn't like me. It's
No, it's something you do.
Yeah, I mean, I do a
another-
lot more other
It's
stuff, right?
another extension.
That's right, but it's part of that feeling.
And there's some people on your YouTube channel that are part of your family.
They
and,
are
and
actually.
You've met them
I love some of the comments that I get from people like Billy Johnson, Candace, and Shonigans, and and today Ellie Wynn.
You know you're not alone.
Yeah, it's like there are
Like
people
you've
out
got
there
your
that get it. That's
extended
beautiful.
family out
That's
there.
right. It means a
And
lot.
you care
it
about
means
them.
a lot. And I know it means, when somebody kind of gives you some sort of encouragement, whichever way they do it, but it's heartfelt, not like, it's like, when it's heartfelt, right? That's beautiful.
Well, I was an actor in Hollywood, and 20 years I spent there, and almost all of the stuff you get in Hollywood. Yeah.
So anyway, so we're kind of finishing off the day here, and you want to show any other piece? Yeah.
I'm a little insecure. I think you can.
Yeah, look at that. That's a doll with a mask on it, and
I think this is my favorite.
he said, "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid." It's like they were pristine paintings.
I think that's my favorite.
His favorite is a beaut. Oh my!
Because it's just so upsetting.
Oh boy!
But obviously, I'm making it like this so that people do have
that's a tough
outrageous
one to
reaction.
That'll be a tough one to market in the mainstream gallery.
Well, they're trying to lower the age of consent to like 12 or something. So if that's not abuse, like, come on, man.
Look at this. This was my favorite, and I decided I wanted to frame it. Yeah, you will see. Okay, you will see. So anyway.
That's what they argue on the false memory syndrome. They say that the children want that.
Really? Yeah.
So the adults are off the hook. And there's a political party in the Netherlands.
It's sanitized,
where
the whole thing.
It's boy and man love, right?
Oh.
Where men have sex with young boys. And then they say that, well, the boys want it. So it's this whole, now they're trying to say, well, these children really want to have sex.
How depraved?
Are you kidding me?
Fucking depraved.
Yeah, sick.
So yeah. So, but what we need to focus on is to draw in the people that understand this. We, forget about those guys. Forget about those guys. We
Okay.
got to build that base.
We have to build
to build that family, the family people. You are the family, and we're doing our part as best we can. And I guess that's it. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah, he's gonna have a beer now, and
I'm not drinking.
oh, he's
at all.
no.
But I love
no,
this one. This is one of Tom's. It's the kid with the gas mask. Do you see it? The poor little kid with a gas mask. And I think I wrote on here, maybe I'll survive. And it's kind
He
of like,
framed it.
maybe the kid will survive, but what'll be left, He'll be walking around in a diaper with the gas mask on.
And
that's upsetting.
Okay, but it's not really a kid. It's a representation of what is a child, because it's a doll. It's a plastic figure, right?
Yeah.
So children are like plastic figures in these paintings. And
well,
oh
we're getting
boy,
to that point anyway, right?
oh boy, yeah. Oh, we could go on. We could go on. He's been bugging me all day. Actually, he's been making comments as he works. It's like. I'm hanging in. I'm hanging in. No, he's pretty intense. He pretends he isn't, Anyway, anything else?
No, I don't think so. Maybe just this last one, which is another upsetting one. No, but it's not funny. It's so sad.
No, but it is. I mean, it is, and it's so brutal. I mean,
it's
the
brutal.
whole Okay, this is a
but the
National Gallery show that we should.
I think some of them are beautiful.
They're fabulous. They're absolutely, And I'm not big on writing, but he starts to write on it, and it all starts to make sense. Like I said, this is my favorite. It's like I framed it. I said, I love this. It's like, you will see. Anyway.
All right.
That's it.
Sorry to bug you guys.
Over and out from the studio, Schellenberger and Ackerman. Over and out. Talk to you later.